Welcome to It's Time, an in-depth look at understanding the importance of succession planning for your automotive business. It's Time is presented by Standard. Now, here's your host, Doug Kaufman.
As a shop owner, you're the grand poobah, the big kahuna, the captain of the vessel. And it's easy to get caught up in the pressure of making sure that right now is handled. You have today's situations under control. That's what a leader does, right? Well, what about tomorrow? Have you thought about who will be steering the ship when you decide to sail off to retirement? Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to It's Time, our 6-part series on succession planning, sponsored by Standard. I'm Doug Kaufman. I'm editor of Shop Owner Magazine, and I'm glad you're here with us. You know, developing that next generation of business leaders from within an organization is crucial for sustainable growth and continuity. It's a critical part of the succession planning process, but how do you do it? How can you identify high potential employees who exhibit key leadership qualities, then develop these individuals so they're equipped to succeed? I'm happy to welcome my guest today to share his expertise on this topic. Randy Anderson with Shop Owner Coach brings decades of entrepreneurial experience and a passion for mentoring small business owners in the automotive repair industry to today's conversation. Randy, welcome. Give us an overview of your path and why developing leaders from within your organizations has been of such importance.
My path to this was, going from a 2-bay shop to a 12-bay shop over the course of about 25 years. And through that time, I did groom a lot of people, trained a lot of people. And the last 3 or 4 years when I knew I was getting ready to step out of it, that's when I really got solid on looking for someone to be my successor. As far as doing that from within, I think that worked out best for me, looking at the people that I had, finding the ones that were willing to do it the way I had done it, because we were very successful with it. And that's kind of the path we started with.
That's an interesting point to talk about the continuing legacy of the shop that you had built over such a long time. Within that framework, Randy, what makes a good leader? How can business owners identify those people, groom those potential leaders from within your current staff, within your families, or from outside? What do you look for in a leader?
Well, they've got to be someone that can stay cool under pressure. Watch how they deal with others within the business and also with the customers. Dealing with management, are they respectful? Will they take leadership? Can they learn? Those are the things that are huge. Need to be able to communicate with all personalities, not get flustered if you have to deal with someone that you just don't mesh with, but you can successfully do that and, come out with a great outcome for both the client and for the business. Watching for those people that shine within your facility that work well with the rest of the employees, the technician, the advisors, whatever position they're in, they've got to be a great communicator.
Communication is key. What kind of training and development opportunities should a leader provide to potential successors?
Well, as you put the word out that, number one, you got to let people know that you're open to the idea of someone taking over. And you might be surprised to who actually raises their hand once they learn that. And I think it's best to do that well in advance, because whoever ends up, if it's from within, sometimes it's harder to lead people that you came up through the ranks with than it is when someone from the outside comes in because they don't know their background. That, this is the new owner, Mm-hmm. So I think to have the business continue the way you want it to continue, the legacy carries on. They take care of the people the way you wanted to. I think you do have a better chance from building within for that. And as that gets identified, who's going to do that, you want to start assigning them management tasks. If they're not already in a management role, it needs to be known this is your right-hand man or woman, whatever it turns out to be. And you're going to want to give them management tasks. And as they succeed with those, then you're going to want to start giving them ownership tasks. Maybe they take over on a marketing campaign. They follow that through from start to finish to see how it works. They got to monitor, did it work? Find out if you're getting a return on investment. The day-to-day stuff is what everybody within the business sees every day. They see the cars coming, the cars going, the customers coming in, the happy customers, the mad customers, the fights amongst the crew, whatever it might be. That's what they see, and they think that's all there is to the business. And a lot of people can get very surprised once they get in the business and are running it of how much is behind the curtain. You got to give them those tasks and break them in easy with it, and let them have some success with some of those.
The longer term things rather than just the emergency situations that have to be handled. And it's easy to handle those sometimes. It's the planning. And I would suppose too that you need to give them the ability to fail. That they don't need to be a success with everything right away.
No, you have to give them the authority to make the best decision they could make based on the knowledge and the training you've given them. And they have to know that it's okay if it's not how you would have done it. We learn the most from our failures. Anyway, I do. That's when it stings and it's like, okay, I'm not doing it that way again, And if they truly care about the business and they really want to be a great leader, they're going to take it seriously when something may not go quite as planned, and they'll learn from that as well. So, that's very true.
Introducing Blue Streak GDI high-pressure fuel pump kits. Everything needed for a complete GDI service, including a new high-pressure pump, cam follower, and required hardware. What's in your box?
Where does mentorship and coaching fall into the equation of developing leaders?
Well, as things move through, you've got to set time aside basically every week to go over the previous week's performance, the successes, the failures, and how you resolve the problems. That way they get used to, there's going to be stuff every week that I got to deal with, and it might be a little different than the last week. The next piece is coaching. When I made the biggest changes and really got set up right to have a successor take over is once I got involved in a strong coaching program. They'll help keep you on track. They help you see a little clearer many times. And what you want to do is have them involved with that coaching program, probably for a minimum of a year before they take over. And the coaching program will help them develop their skills where they're weakest. And then you've got people to lean on when you have a problem or you have a question. I think it's important that even in the sales agreement, when you finally sell the business and you step away, that the continuation of that coaching is well into the future to guarantee their success. It will definitely help them in the future when you're not there to answer the question immediately. And most owners, when they decide they're out of it, they want to step away. You need to be available. For me, I stayed very available for the first year, and anything he needed, I stepped in, helped, answered any questions. But I also, in my sales agreement, had it stated that he had to maintain the coaching program that I was in for a minimum of 3 years. And then at that point, he could decide if he wanted to stay in or not. But that helped guarantee his success, and that was probably 12, 13 years ago, and he's still growing every month, and he has stayed involved in the coaching program. So the mentoring is important, and then someone to back you up on that after the fact is just as important, just so they don't. It's easy to get wound up in the fire of the day, and the whole day can disappear, and all you did was run around with your hair on fire. Right. But the mentoring and the coaching programs after the fact help keep you grounded and help you avoid making big mistakes that could potentially wipe you out.
Is that kind of a timeline, a year of involvement after the sale? Is that maybe typical of business succession
I
plans?
stayed very involved. You know, this happened to be the guy that took over my business was my nephew. He came to me, you know, with no knowledge of automotive. You know, I let him work in the shop a few times, and it just clicked for him. Mm-hmm. You know, I did go through. There were others that we did work with from within the company, and after, you know, all the years being with me, he was the one that was shining and really showed the ability to do it. So the mentorship after the fact, you know, I put in the contract I'd be available at no charge for a year. And the truth be said, by having him in the mentorship program or in the coaching program, I really did not get used that much. I thought he would call a lot. But the coaching program, his first call was to his coaches and to the people in the coaching program that he was already familiar with. And that's why I think it's important to have him involved in that for, you know, about a year before it eases the transition for the owner. You know, if you care about what happens to the business after you leave. Right. He really didn't need me that much. It was great.
Now, you say that's great. I would imagine for some people, that decision to completely step away and be available if needed, but not try and force your, well, that's how I would do it. I know I'm not involved anymore, but this is how I would do it. That's got to be kind of a tough balance to maintain.
Sometimes it could be. And just like we talked about at the beginning, they have to be allowed to make their own mistakes. You know, the neat thing is if you've done your job well for that year before the transition between you and the coaching programs or the mentorships, you've already gone over all that stuff. Mm-hmm. They already know how you would have handled it. And now it's their turn to decide if they're going to tweak it. And, you know, some of the things that he did do different really worked out well. Yeah. You know, a fresh perspective sometimes is okay.
That's a great perspective.
Inside each standard box, you'll find research and development, precision manufacturing, lab testing and validation, on-vehicle testing, technical training and support. What's in your box?
So, the current leadership, how do you facilitate that knowledge transfer other than just watch what I do? You know, how do you make sure that you've got that next generation well-trained? And then what do you have to do to make sure that that next generation stays around until you actually do decide to step away?
Well, they've got to be brought into the fold of ownership. Let them share in the business's success and losses. I would recommend bringing them into where they're monitoring gross profit, net profit, you know, get them involved in the financials, mm-hmm. and also have them attached to that as if they were an owner. So their pay plan needs to change, and they get paid just about the same as if they were the owner. You know, of course, the percentages are lower, you know, because you're still taking your money. And it's okay that they see what your take home is, because that's their drive. You know, everybody's in it. The majority of people, I think, that get into this business, they get into it because they love fixing cars and making people happy. Mm-hmm. They're problem solvers, and they take great pride in that. And so they need to learn the business side, and the best way to do that is to be connected to it financially. Let them win. Let them see what it's like to, on those great months, what, they get a nice bonus or percentage, is nice. And then when things suffer a bit, they got to feel what that's like, because it's going to happen. When the month isn't great, or you have a big loss you have to swallow, comes right out of net profits, and it affects everybody. So I think you just have to get them involved early, set time aside every week, if not every day. Even just a 15-minute session every day makes a huge difference. How'd things go yesterday? What do you got going on today? Where are you at on the projects we're working on? And they can just be short little touch bases. But I would recommend setting at least an hour aside once a week to really dive into the numbers. Here's what last week did. Here's our expenses. Here's what we brought in. Keep them involved in the big picture, but a little more at a micro level, so that by the time, if there's something that needs to change to make sure we hit our goal that we set for the month, we see it before it's too late. Once the month's over, there's nothing you can do about it. So if you monitor often, you can make slight adjustments that make big differences.
Fantastic perspective on grooming that next generation. Randy, how can people get a hold of you if what they hear kind of strikes a chord with them? Is like, I need a little bit more information.
Yeah, well, I work with Shop Owner Coach, is the name of the company. They can reach out directly to me just by cell phone, 435-232-6031. If I don't answer, leave a message. I will get right back to you. You can look us up at shopownercoach.com at our website. And all the information's there about the programs we do. We do have a couple of different options, from one-on-one mentoring, where we spend time a couple times a month, just one-on-one, working strictly on your business, your challenges. And then we do have a mastermind group, where you're part of a group where you're actually sharing and learning with a group of like-minded individuals, owners, managers. So those are the things we have to offer. Just shopownercoach.com, or reach out to me directly.
Wonderful. Randy Anderson, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thanks again for joining us today. As we've been and will continue to point out, it's important to have a clear succession planning process in place. Regularly reviewing and updating your plan ensures that your organization is prepared for any leadership transitions, maintaining stability and momentum toward your strategic goals. Throughout this series, we're addressing different topics to help your business continue being a benefit to your community and our industry. You can find our previous conversations at shopownermag.com. Thanks to Standard for sponsoring our discussions, and thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks for watching. For more information on succession planning, visit shopownermag.com. There, you'll find resources and links designed to help guide you on the road ahead. Learn more about our sponsor, Standard, by visiting standardbrand.com.